Antarctica's ice is now increasingly being threatened, and most researchers believe it's because of climate change. According to one recent study, the continent's ice is slipping away 6 times faster than it was 40 years ago.
NASA has been observing changes in the polar sea ice covers for more than 40 years.
Then the ice disappeared completely this year, even though we're in the heart of the Arctic. Does her fate mirror the future of the entire species? To the forces of global warming that are changing their environment faster than anyone could have imagined.
Hello, this is Professor MihriOzkan. I am the Climate Action Champion Professor of University of California. I hope you will find these videos informative. Thank you for watching my video. Do you think climate change is real?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
Yes, I believe the climate is changing.
I do believe we're experiencing climate change.
Oh, definitely. It's very real.
Yeah.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's real.
Why do you think so?
I think it's scientifically proven, and it's visible in lots of different parts of the world that things are already being affected by climate change, by the different changes in extreme weather patterns, and a lot of differences in like flooding and wildfires and things like that. We have droughts in different parts of the world and famine and different things that are already affecting people and also affecting different species of animals as well, and plants.
Summer and winter has just always been more colder and more hotter, and without an explanation behind that, it just seems unnatural for the planet to feel warmer in the summer than it was a year before and colder the year before. So that's like big evidence for me why I believe climate change exists.
I've seen a lot of reports and research on it, and I think around 95%, if not more, of the world scientists agree that it's real, and ice caps are melting and climate is becoming more erratic.
The preponderance of evidence suggesting that it is pretty much for the last 30 years, at least almost as long as I've been alive, we've been inundated with facts, data, etc., suggesting an overall increase in the global temperature as well as the CO2 load.
I'm from China, and growing up, our education tells us that climate change is real. It tells us about all kinds of things that went wrong in the earth right now, like the too much CO2 in the air that caused the North Pole to melting down, and all these are very real problems. And also there's a lot of like pollutions in China because of all the factories and stuff. So we are very aware of this fact because of our environment and whatever, you know.
There's natural changes in the climate, the Milankovitch cycles, which I think is part of the reason it's changing right now. But I do think there is an anthropocentric kind of acceleration happening right now. Different factors, greenhouse gases, carbon emissions, things like that, deforestation. We've just changed so many of the natural cycles that are occurring right now. We've just kind of messed things up on so many different levels that there is going to be some sort of response.
I'm not an expert in this field. I have done a little bit of reading, and from my research and just hearing it repeatedly, I think we're experiencing change within the environment that is different than previously.
Well, I've just taken many classes about like climate change and everything, and it's like pretty evident that climate change is real. With like carbon dioxide like increasing, you can see like its adverse effects and how it affects our like climate.
Well, I'm not a scientist, but
I think it's 97% of scientists believe that there is man-made climate change. So yeah, I'm a firm believer in it because of a firm believer in science.
People don't pay attention, but we see on the nature every day the climate changing.
The extreme weather.
Because from where I live, southeastern Washington, I've seen, I remember it snowing quite a bit when I was little, and that has basically gone away. We just have really dry winters now. So I've seen it in my hometown.
What should we do about it?
My personal opinion is that we can solve a lot of the issues of climate change by using better agricultural practices. So things like agroforestry and permaculture, ways of sustainable agriculture that actually can mitigate the causes of, or the issues of climate change, and even reduce the carbon emissions as well through better technology.
I think we need to take a look at different ways to, for one, like renewable energies that we can implement, and different ways that we can get rid of products that, manufacturing facilities that are pumping the pollutions into the air that are causing it. So
I believe that we should do strict carbon emission checks. We should try to switch from fossil fuels, and I know we can do it because we used to have in the 70s acid rain in the Northeast, at which point local shutdown of coal plants and reforestation efforts have actually pretty much reversed that as a local climate phenomenon. So if we do it on a global level, it's tough because there's developing nations that are years behind India and China in their infrastructure. They rely on coal. So at least on a local level or a countrywide level, we can do our part. Given that the U.S. only has 330 million people in it, has a massive amount of the actual production of said, emissions.
My solution, I think, would be eliminate the CO2 in the air, which I believe electricity cars will help a lot on that, since everybody is driving a car right now. And also the factory, the cleaning ways that we make things and manufacturing things in a factory, that would totally help us.
Everything possible. I think that the scientific community has a lot of insights on that. I think businesses need to work on everything that they can do from their own impacts, and I think there's a lot of work to be done there. And I think government certainly has a role in it as well, and I think individual and private citizens can do their part. Everything from little things to big things, recycling at home to getting involved in larger groups and larger organizations.
To change people's habits, I think that's the most difficult aspect. So part of me coming here today was driving a car, and that is my habit in life, and that gets me from point A to point B to get stuff done. So you're asking me to completely change my habits, and you're asking a lot of people to change their habits on a day-to-day life. That's where it's so difficult for a lot of people to do this, and as nations such as China, and especially Africa in particular, become from less industrialized to more industrialized, they're going to need more fossil fuel and have more of a craving for it, and the market's going to allow it. So I think it's something that's not going to happen overnight, but it's not going to be easy either.